Akiba's Trip, Hellbound, and Debriefed is an HD remaster of Akiba's Trip for PSP, originally released only in Japan in 2011. It was ported to the US in July 2021 for PlayStation 4, PC, and Switch. This came 7 years after its sequel, Undead and Undressed, which was released in the US in 2014. The gameplay and story for this are very similar to Undead and Undressed. You play as Nanashi, a young man who goes to help his friend after he's attacked by a shadow soul, a vampire-esque being. Nanashi is on the brink of death after being attacked, but is saved by a female shadow soul named Rui, who shares her blood with him to keep him alive, turning him into a hybrid. He has a group of friends called the Akiba Freedom Fighters, who are partnered up with an agency to track down the shadow souls in Akihabara. As the story goes on, you learn more about each side and start to question who you should be helping. Right off the bat, you will notice the lower quality graphics, and since it's so similar to Undead and Undressed, you might be tempted to just skip it. I was already familiar with the entire map of the game since I've beaten Undead and Undressed along with Akiba's Beat. However, there were no real Akihabara stores to be found, and everything was pretty low quality graphics-wise. The gameplay is the same. You fight enemies and can strip them of their clothing, tearing them or keeping them for yourself. You can pick up missions, and for the most part you fight solo. There is also no dating sim aspect. So at this point, you're probably like, why would I even want to play that? Despite seeming inferior to Undead and Undressed, I actually enjoyed this one more. The main drawing point for me was the cast of characters. They all had their own quirks, but they weren't obnoxious, and I liked most of them. I didn't care much for the cast of the sequel and didn't feel any real chemistry between those characters. I also honestly cannot remember the plot of the sequel, aside from the premise. This one lays the plot out and keeps to it. There are different choices you can make and multiple endings you can achieve, however. The shadow soul who saved you, Rui, is the love interest, and I felt a real connection between her and Nanashi. I grew to care about her a lot. The side missions were hilarious most of the time and pretty memorable. These mostly consisted of finding people and talking to them and/or giving them an item. The only problem was that it was hard to figure out who you needed to talk to and figure out where you needed to go to get certain items. There were some mini-games you can play, such as a UFO catcher, but that was also kind of hard to control due to not knowing the perspective of the claw. There was also an in-game arcade fighting machine that you could fight Rui on with the same battle system as the normal game. You learn your strategies at the Master's Rooftop, whatever, and can take on challenges to beat stronger and stronger opponents. Once you get to a certain part, you can unlock the Strip Rock Paper Scissors game, which plays just as the name implies. You play rock, paper, scissors with a character, and each time someone loses, they must take a piece of clothing off. If you win 3 times, you get to keep their clothes. There are a lot of clothes to collect and wear, and you even get the ability to cross-dress pretty early. Nanashi also has a little sister that can be visited, and she will wear clothes for you to model, or give you a pep talk for coin. She's not important to the plot, but it was fun to visit her every so often. The story is silly at times, but it is much more serious than the sequel. It can be difficult making choices, and I had to sit there and weigh the outcomes for most of them before making my final decision. Luckily, I was able to get the best ending on my first playthrough. The game is fairly short, so it's easy to run through it again, especially with New Game Plus perks from your previous save file. It is definitely easy to see that this is an old game that was originally on handheld, but it has a lot of hidden depths. It was really the characters and story that kept me captivated. I recommend this game for many reasons, but I'll give you the main one. Do it for Rui. Thank you for watching the video. Leave a like if you liked it, comment if you like games. Shit, I messed up again. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon. You guys help me out so much, and right now I have the demo for my visual novel available only to patrons. So, yeah, even if you pledge $1, you can have access to it. Because right now it's a super demo, rough draft thingy. So yeah, if you want to play that, go ahead and pledge to my Patreon, maybe, please. Yeah. Thank you for watching.